So you've been thinking about paddleboarding down the Salt River. You've heard about it. You've heard how much fun it is, seen some pictures about it, heard about the Salt River horses, wild horses. Well, today we're going to dive deep into paddleboarding down the Salt River and what you need to know before you come out here. If this is your first time to this channel, please subscribe, like, and comment, and tap the bell for notifications so that you can be the first to know about what's happening in Phoenix, Arizona, and what it's like to live here. There's a couple of things that you're going to want to consider before you come down to the Salt River, so let's get to it. Thing for you to consider is weather conditions out here. And you may say, what are you talking about? It is sunny here all the time. What weather conditions do you have? Well, there's a couple things to consider. One thing that you should know about is that we do get snow up into the upper elevations, and we have a lot of snow melt that comes down, and it comes down through the rivers, and it impacts the flow and the speed of the water on the Salt River. So if we get a lot of snow melt, the river is going to be fast, and then you just need to be prepared. In the summer months, when people tend to spend a lot of time out here on the Salt River, we have the monsoon season, and the monsoon season brings dust storms, heavy rains, and we have ground that doesn't always absorb the rainwater very well, and so a lot of times that sits on top of the ground and creates flash floods. So that's something that you're going to want to consider, is just know what the weather conditions are. And of course, it's summer in Arizona, and you've heard we've had a lot of hot weather. It's over 100 degrees pretty much every day. So you're going to want to make sure that you take precautions with that. Sunscreen, a hat, etc. Some people come out here and they have a lot of the sun gear that keeps the sun off of their skin. So they have long sleeves, etc. that they're wearing. So make sure that you have those, you've taken that into consideration. Another thing that you're going to want to consider before coming out and paddling on the Salt River is wildlife interactions. And I bring that up specifically to talk about the wild horses of the Salt River. We have wild horses, packs of wild horses. I guess, do we call them packs? I can't think of families of wild horses that are out here in the Tonto National Forest. And like I said, they're wild. And a lot of times it's very exciting to see them when they come down to the water's edge to get some water, to cool off. Sometimes they cross the river and they go from one side to the next. And it's very exciting for tubers and for paddle boarders, kayakers, etc., anyone who's on the river. The thing is that they're wild. So let's leave them alone. Don't paddle over to them to try and pet them or get your picture taken with them. All of those things. Respect their wildness, I guess, is that what I'm going to say? So respect the fact that they are a wild animal and leave them be. The other thing that should be considered is other types of creatures or critters that are out here. Snakes and insects, sometimes you might interact with them. We do have, I like to call them wild cows. I don't think they're really wild. You'll see them along that rim right there. And I don't know who they belong to. So I like to call them wild cows, but I don't think they're really wild. But sometimes you'll see the cows down here that are down doing the same thing as the horses, getting some water and cooling off. Leave them be. They're not your pet. They're not coming home with you. So let them be. Next, we're going to talk about safety gear and precautions. And this is pretty simple. I think this should be something that we are ready to talk about and know about. And it doesn't matter if you are a great swimmer or not, or you come down to the river all the time, you grew up on the river, etc. You need to take safety precautions. And the first thing I'm going to talk to you about is a life jacket or some type of flotation device. I'll admit, I don't really want to put on a life jacket while I'm out here paddling on the river. A lot of times I want to get some sun, and I don't want to have some type of shade on me that's not going to help that. So get some type of flotation device. You can get those ones that go around your waist, something that you can have on yourself as you're going down the river. Like I mentioned before, sometimes the water is really fast. I was just out here this weekend and got knocked off my board, and my board started to go away from me, and I thought, uh-oh, what am I going to do? And I panicked a little bit, but I was able to get back on my board and be safe. So those one thing, so think about a life jacket or some type of flotation device. The other thing I want you to think about is a buddy system. And so making sure that you're out here on the river with another person. It's actually a lot more fun that way, to come with a group of people or at least one other person, so that you're not enjoying this all on your own, but you get to share that experience with someone else. So I would consider a buddy system so that you're safe. If you get knocked off the board, there's somebody there that knows that you're in the water and can help you get out of that water. Another thing to consider before you're coming out here is respect that leave no trace principles. And what I mean by that is respect the natural area and be respectful of picking up your trash and not leaving any junk that can fall into the river, harm the wildlife that's around here, and just really kind of make it gross and make it unattractive, someplace that people don't want to come to. So sometimes when you're going down the Salt River, especially if you're in the area where the tubers come, a lot of times that's a big party zone, and you'll see beer cans, alcohol cans, I should say, because it could be hard seltzers, etc., that are down there and at the bottom of the river and not picked up. So make sure that you pack out what you bring in, and really try to avoid harming the vegetation that's around here. Stick to designated areas to avoid trampling on certain vegetation that's on the riverbank. And then always, if you're going to be out here for a couple days and camping, make sure that if you're on that multi-day trip, that you're camping in approved spots and not necessarily making new fire rings. We do have a lot of fire warnings out here during the summer, just because it can get, well, all year round sometimes, because it can get so dry. But making sure that you're camping in designated spots and not leaving a larger mark or impact on the area. One other thing to be thinking about, which I think is very important, is if you've never been out here before. Earlier I mentioned utilizing the buddy system. So if you've never been out here before, it's worthwhile to maybe come out here with someone who's done it before, because you want to know the river's course, where the river goes, the route of the river, I should say, and what are your start and end points on it. Sometimes, so I'm down here at Granite Reef at this recreation center. I'll go back here so you can see a little bit of it. And a lot of times people just come out here and paddleboard or fish out here on their own. When I come out here, I usually park a car down here because I'm coming out with more than one person. I park a car down here, and then we get into the river at a spot that's upriver. And so then we paddleboard down here, and then we get out of the car here. So this is our end point a lot of times. But some people just come down here and they just paddle around on the water down here. Typically, down here at Granite Reef, it's pretty calm. Sometimes you'll get some wind gusts or wind but the water tends to be pretty calm, I should say. The wind will make it difficult to paddle, but you tend to have calm waters. So you want to familiarize yourself with the river's route and know where you're starting and where you plan to exit and what are some potential hazards that you might encounter when you're on your way. And of course, know that you may encounter some rapids, shallow spots, obstacles in the river. And even if you're in that calm section of the Salt River, conditions can change rapidly, and you need to be prepared in case something like that happens. That is essential. Lastly, one more thing to think about is if you do come down here and say you just want to come down to Granite Reef and paddle around here, you're not going to go upriver, you're just going to stay here in this recreational area, is always to let somebody know where you're going and when they can expect you to return. Anytime you should do something like that, because in the unlikely event that something goes wrong, at least now you know that you have someone that is looking for you and waiting for you to return. And I think that's a good safety precaution for lots of activities that we do. When we leave the house, let somebody know where we're going and when we will return. I hope this has been helpful. You've enjoyed this. Next, what I'm going to do is show you some of the safety gear. I shouldn't say safe. Well, some of it's going to be safety gear, but also some of the gear that I have purchased to help me enjoy the river and make it a good experience, a safe and fun experience as I've gone down the river many times. So next, I'm going to go and show you that. Get ready. Okay, I had to come inside. It was getting a little hot out there, and I thought I'm going to show you some of the tools and items that I take with me on the Salt River. It might be easier to do it inside where it's nice and cool, and then you can easily see what I'm going to show you. A couple things to think about is that you always want to make sure that your stuff stays dry, especially our electronic devices. If we're taking a camera, if we're taking a phone, whatever that might be, we want to make sure that it stays dry. And that's why it's always important to have that kind of waterproof gear with you. And here's a couple things that I utilize when I go out there. This was the first one I purchased as an item that I could put my phone in here or any other, sometimes my keys in here, so that it can stay dry. And you just put the phone in there, put the phone in, roll it up, seal it up, and then you can wear it around your neck if you wanted to, or you can tie it down to the paddleboard if you want to as well, and hook it through a belt or something like that. And it's an option for you too to utilize. Here's one that I just bought. I haven't had a chance to utilize it yet because it just came yesterday, which is, this is another, it's clear on both sides, but another phone case. You'll be able to put your phone in here, and then if you want to take pictures while you're out there using your phone, you don't have to take it out because the back here is clear and you can just take a picture with the phone this way. You don't have to take the phone out of the case, and so it always stays dry. And I should show you, it has the little top here. I haven't put the phone all the way in there to be able to seal it up. That's an easy way to keep some of your stuff dry in there. One other thing is a dry bag. And this is the dry bag that I have. And I like it because I like it that it has a strap when I'm carrying my paddleboard and other items down to the river's edge. I can carry this, just throw it across my shoulders and carry it down there with me. Same principle to lock it up. So you put your stuff in there, turn this over a little bit, and then you have, turn these over a couple times, I should say, and then you just lock it up that way, and you can tie it down to the paddleboard. Note, with any of these items, I am not endorsing the product company or the product name itself. I'm endorsing the use of this type of product for you. I'm endorsing the idea that you should utilize something to keep your stuff dry, and these are some things that I found to help me when I go down the river and paddleboard on there. I mentioned before about the dry bag, keeping it secure onto my paddle board, and another thing that I like to use are these twisty pieces of wire, but they're sturdier than rope, which can get wet and that can dwindle away while you're on the water. This is something that is made from wire, but it has a little coating on it, and that you can cut to different sizes and put it on your board and help you tie down some of the items that you have on your board and keep everything secure. That's something that I really like to utilize. And again, you want to keep your stuff dry and secure as you're going down the river. Next couple items that I think are important for you to take with you is sun protection. And of course, I mean sunscreen. Definitely sunscreen is an absolute must. But then I'm also talking about just something as simple as wearing a hat out there as well. This is one of those quick dry hats, which is really great because I did, I think like I mentioned before, fell off my board on Sunday and fell in the water, and this thing dried really quickly as we continued to float, and it was awesome. And then of course, sunglasses. I don't typically take with me a nice pair of sunglasses when I'm on the river because I have a tendency, or because you have a likelihood that you could lose them, and I don't want to replace really nice or expensive sunglasses, so I try to take something that is a little less expensive. I did, and like I said, I fell off my board on Sunday and I lost my sunglasses, and it was a bummer, but they weren't very expensive, so I suffered through the rest of the paddle down the river. This is something new that we just got, and you just wet it in cold water and then wrap it around your neck, and it keeps you cool as you go down the river. And it was a nice addition to have when we paddled on Sunday, because of course we're here in Phoenix and we're over 100 degrees. We're like 110 minimum every day, so it was great to have that as well. Next, let's talk about inflating your paddleboard. If you have an inflatable paddleboard, if you don't have a hard shell paddleboard, you're going to have to inflate it. And they come with one of those manual pumps, like a bicycle pump, basically, is what you're utilizing. And those are fine, but again, when it's 110, 15 degrees outside, the last thing I want to be doing in the sun is working really hard to get my paddleboard inflated. So one thing we did last year was to purchase an electric, I guess I'll say it's electric, inflatable air pump. And these are just the same ones that you can utilize when you blow up an air mattress or something else, but we just use it for our paddleboard. And it has the accessories on it. You can plug it in, or you can utilize a cigarette lighter as well, and some plug-in options. But I highly recommend you doing this and having another means to inflate that paddleboard. Salt River is beautiful, so you're going to want to be able to take some pictures and to commemorate, or not commemorate, but to remember what the experience was like. And then you're going to want to have some tools available to do that as well. And again, I went back to where you might have something like this so that the phone can be accessible to you to be able to take pictures, but maybe think about also investing in a GoPro. And I just got this one yesterday. We had a GoPro before, but lost it, and so now we needed another one, and this is the one that we purchased. And we just got the Hero 9, and have some accessories to use with it. But what I like about this one is that, as compared to the very first one, the old one that we did have, it has that window where you can see what you're taking a picture of, and then you have a little selfie screen there as well. So maybe that's something to consider, investing in a GoPro. I would also get some accessories to go with the GoPro, like a handle, you know, like an expandable arm so that you can take pictures from up above, you know, and get some good upper shots as well, instead of just holding it like right here and taking a picture. And then of course our very fancy, does anybody still use selfie sticks? This is my selfie stick. I don't know if anybody still uses these, but I do. And so sometimes I'll take the selfie stick out there. Before I had the GoPro, I would take the selfie stick out there. Now that I have the GoPro, I'm going to utilize that a lot more to get some really cool shots. And of course, talk about before about eliminating any trace of you at the river, in the Tonto National Forest. So bring, if you're gonna, you have your dry bag, you could put stuff in there, but also just maybe bring some type of bag with you. I just have a grocery store plastic bag, but it could be a recyclable bag, something that so that you can collect any of your trash and take it with you. And again, just tie it down to the board and make sure that you leave no trace. I hope this has been helpful. I hope you liked a chance to see some of the pictures of the Salt River, and, you know, just to have that conversation about what it's like to be out on the river and what are some things that you should think about and know, I guess I should say, before you get out there and to have that great time experiencing it. If this is your first time to the channel, please like, subscribe, and hit that bell for notifications so that you can be the first to be notified when I post some new videos. Appreciate your time. Thank you for watching.